on this computer. I am Dave.
Yeah, and I'm right there.
Welcome to Barstools and Bandtalk, folks. My daughter let me hear some of her gear, so I have a new webcam and a little ring of light here, so we'll see if we can't see things a little bit better. We have a great interview, though, tonight. Give us a little idea what's going on, Sean.
New ring light, new camera, and we'll see if it stops him from interrupting. Right on. So we'll start with that. I'm going to let you, Dave, because you chased this one down. And we were just talking with our guest before we started recording. Super nice guy, and everybody out there in Barstools and Bandtalk land is going to get schooled on. People don't really, for some strange reason, don't really look at songwriters as stars. Without the songwriters, there's no songs, there's no stars. And truth be told, and we're probably going to learn this tonight, the songwriters are actually the ones that make the money. And that's so key. Todd Zuckerman, when we interviewed him, what's your big regret in life? And he said publishing rights, right? So I'm really excited about this interview. This is going to be really neat. And this gentleman is from St. John, New Brunswick, still lives in St. John, New Brunswick.
Yeah. He spent some time away for sure. He went to Montreal, went to Toronto. Then he was approached by Bill Medley from the Righteous Brothers to move down to the States, to Los Angeles, and to be a songwriter for a record company. So he's got so many stories and written so many songs. And quite honestly, and I was embarrassed that I didn't know the full extent of his repertoire, but I'm going to tell you, he's going to blow your minds. We have Ken Tobias on here with us tonight, folks, and we're so excited to talk to him. We'll bring him on. From St. John, New Brunswick, it's Mr. Ken Tobias.
Hey,
if you want to play, brother, that's okay. We love it when people play.
It's okay. I was just doodling while we were, I was waiting for you.
Right on. Welcome to our little show. Great to have you on, Ken. And it's so cool that you're, from St. John, because we're constantly reminding people of the talent that comes out of this area that they overlook sometimes.
You know something, and before me, like guys like Hank Snow and who became one of the biggest country stars ever. And ironically enough, he actually not long ago recorded my song "Stay a While."
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah, and I was blown away because I've always been a fan of his, kind of the way he sings. Into my room, she creeps. Oh my God, I blew me away when I heard that. Because ever since I was a kid, I've heard Hank Snow, because he used to come to St. John as well and hang around, kind of thing.
So where did it begin for you, brother? So I read a little bit about. So you're originally you're born and raised in St. John.
I was born and raised in St. John on a street called Prince Edward Street. Okay. And my father was of Lebanese and Syrian stock. My mother was English and Scottish from Beaver Harbor. Oh. And the two, never the twain shall meet, they met. And it was an interesting combination I grew up with, and I'm happy with all of it. It's had its ups and downs, but I'm really happy with those two cultures.
Excellent.
So, what was when you were sort of getting your start? I assume you got your start in St. John when you were playing. What was because St. John, truthfully, has always been when we were on the road back in the late '80s, if you will.
Yeah.
You played a lot of little small towns all over Atlantic Canada. And St. John was one of those ones where you got to, it was like, they have a mall, they have a food court, it's fun. What was the music scene like back when you were kind of cutting your teeth and getting ready to make a go at it?
I'm glad you asked that question, because one of my favorite groups of all that actually did it to me. Everybody has when they're a kid, they want to be somebody, and they look and see a group. It was called Pete and the Blue Shadows, they were called. Okay. And Dave Kindred was one of the guitar players who was he's still a master guitar player. He's just unbelievable, even now. And Peter Wong was the guitar player, and he played a Stratocaster. He's played a Stratocaster, man. And did I ever want that guitar? Holy shit, I couldn't believe that. I wanted to do that. But my father didn't like electric guitars. He said you can play an acoustic, but it was okay to play drums. So I was an up and coming, trying to be a drummer.
Okay.
So those are the kind of things that started. I was a radio guy. I listened to nothing but the radio. And, right back from when I can remember. I mean, I'm 75 years old. And so I was listening to even Vera Lynn from the war, after the war, on the radio. And because I was a tenor, when I was a little kid, I sang her notes.
Okay.
So when I sing along with her, so when I sang her notes, I went through puberty without having to lose my good tenor voice. So I was kind of like not even knowing it, but kind of training myself by singing women's parts as well. So I was maintain my, I had quite a high voice at one time. I could really go high and then cut falsetto. Anyway, I listened to the radio. So I was like, my heroes are everything from, Nat King Cole to Little Richard,
Right.
It really goes, it didn't matter. Whoever they were on the radio, I loved it. I wanted to be Bobby Darin,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Dream Lover was my all-time favorite song for a while. And that's why I became a songwriter, because I know how to write a hook, because I listened to all the hits on the radio.
Right.
And I was being trained and didn't know about it, like the Everly Brothers, they're heroes of mine. And I got to meet them and become friends with Phil Everly years later in LA. I mean, you can't tell you what that was like from a kid from St. John.
Wow.
I mean, the limousine, they picked us up to take us to dinner. When I got in the limousine, I was with Eddie Cochran's ex-wife, Sharon Shealy, who was in the car crash with him when he died. And she knew everybody. She wrote Poor Little Fool for Ricky Nelson, Dum Dum for Brenda Lee, all these big hit songs. And she was one of the first female songwriters. Anyway, she set it up. So I was getting in the back seat, and there was Phil driving, and Don was there, and his wife was there. And I'm getting in the back, so I'm shaking. I had already been on television in Canada. National television was, had a name and everything else. And here I was shaking. And Sharon punched me right in the ribs and said, now you get it together right now. She says, they're not interested in fans. They know you're talented. They know you got something going, and they're treating you as an equal. So lose it. And I grew up right there.
Wow.
Grew right up.
I love that.
Oh,
I love that.
That's great advice. That's great advice right there.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I was just shaking. So anyway, St. John was, the Pete and the Blue Shadows meant a lot to me. And my brother, and I was with this other guy, Norm Pierce, and we were like learning to play guitar at 14, 15. And we were singing like Everly Brothers stuff, let's sing. And my brother, Tony, brush cut, folk music, university. I had didn't know anything about that stuff. I didn't know what the folk music thing was. And so he said, let's form a group, because the #1 song on the radio was a folk song for Greenfields. And that was what was happening.
Okay.
And it was #1 on the charts. So, so we formed this group, and we became an authentic folk bluegrass group, because he had a banjo player. And we played all over the Maritimes, made some bread, and we were professionals. And I played a 4-string tenor guitar at the time. And we were doing a hootenanny show down in Halifax at the Dartmouth hootenanny thing, all dressed in our shawl collar jackets and cool, real professional looking guys. And we won it. And there was a girl there by the name of, I'm going to this way because I'm showing you how I got.
Yeah.
Thing. And there was a girl there by the name of Patricia Ann McKinnon, who was Catherine McKinnon's sister, she was the big star on Sing Along Jubilee, which was the #2 show in Canada for 7 years. And so she said, "Yeah, I really like your singing." And we did one of my personal songs at the time. We recorded it, and we had a radio show in Fredericton called "This Is the Maritimes," and we were called the Ramblers.
Okay.
And so that show was so cool that we got some really good recordings. CBC recorded us, so I gave her a tape, and she got it to Manny Pitts, and it was the producer of both the Music Hop and Sing Along. I don't know if you know about Music Hop. That's something you should check in on, because in the Maritimes, that's where all the talent showed itself, because all across Canada, there was one in every province, not in every province. Halifax, Montreal, not a very good one there. Toronto, Winnipeg, and Vancouver.
Right.
And so on those shows, you had like, out of the Vancouver show, you had the Poppy Family with Susan Jackson and Terry Jacks, who had that big Seasons and Sun hit and all that stuff. and the Collectors and all that stuff. And in Winnipeg, you had, the Guess Who and Lenny Bro and all that kind of stuff came out of there. And of course, Halifax, you got me and Anne Murray and a few others. Brian Ahern, who I just got in contact with, who produced George Jones, the Stones, Emmylou Harris, you name it. This guy's got, you know what I mean, came out of Nova Scotia.
Really?
And we all started on Music Hop and Sing Along Jubilee.
Isn't that crazy?
So that's how I got there. And that's how we got national prominence at 20 years old. And Brian, being my mentor at the time, he was the first producer I ever knew and the first musician who could really play, taught me how to play a certain way. And he said, because he was director of the music on the show, he says, yeah, I want Ken to sing some of his songs. Yeah, man. I got to sing my own tunes on that show. So
that's
anyway,
awesome.
you know, that's how I kind of got going there.
So I'm surprised that you stay with the folk roots, because you're talking early 60s. Now this Music Hop is what, mid 60s? Is that what's going on then?
Yeah, Music Hop was 65.
So
Or 65, yeah.
The year before, we're talking about the Beatles hit North America. So were you tempted to go to more of a rock base, or did you really?
Well, I did.
Oh,
I
okay.
did. You know, my music, you see, when you're in the Maritimes, you do everything.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, you just sing it and do everything. Wherever the money is or wherever you can play, you do it.
Yeah,
you know, and that's what we did. And I mean, there are people who still think that I'm a folk singer. I go, I don't understand that. I don't get that, because I had some of the best fusion R&B and rock bands in Toronto. I played the Gasworks 6 times. You can't play the Gasworks as a folk singer; they'll kill you. They can kill you. I mean, it's like, you know, they're doing up heroin in the bar, in the bathroom, the toilet. You know, it's my point is that you do everything. I had a voice that could sing soft stuff, and I could put it on a bit. I'm not really a rock singer, but I can put it out, or I could put it out. And but I was a songwriter first.
Right. Before
an artist, I was a songwriter. That's what I was. And so unfortunately, or fortunately, this was my problem with records. It's the same as my painting. You can't you can't say Ken Tobias is a landscape painter, because I paint anything I want to paint. It doesn't matter. I don't, and they're different. So same as the songs. If I felt like writing a rock tune or an R&B tune or a blues tune or something classically oriented, I would do it. And the record company hated me. You know, I mean, Attic Records, when I did their first album with them, after I left LA, I did 2 albums, one in England and one in LA. After I left that, but I had 4 hits off that first album, Everybody Love album. And they hated the fact that I had a 6-minute piece called Save the Forest on there. And I said, what's the matter with you fucking guys? I said, I'm an artist. I believe in stuff. And it comes out of my music. I got to put it on the record. And when we played it live, it was one of the reasons that people came to see us. It wasn't because of Everybody Love, that too. It was because of Save the Forest. So, you know, I'm a songwriter first, and that's kind of, I'm glad I am.
I want to tackle that a little bit, because we talked before we started recording about how, you know, songwriting is so important and people don't understand it. I've talked to some people who write songs and they have to be inspired, or, you know, that something has to move them. I've talked to other people that write 60 songs a day that maybe get 1. What's your style? Like, obviously with your pedigree and your repertoire and your catalog, I have to think that maybe a little bit of both, or, you know, did it just sort of come to you and you would scribble something down, and how did it unfold?
I used to work for the Canadian Songwriters Association, and that question has come up quite a bit. How do you know, what is, I have to say, I like the inspirational thing. That's great. But you have to learn to craft as well, to be a craft person, so that it's like you have to have be ready whenever that inspiration comes. You have to have the tools and be able to get that down. Because if you're not prepared, if you don't know how to craft and how to get that inspiration is just kind of wasted. And, you know, so my style of songwriting, sometimes it's just putting up a couple beats and sitting down with my axe and just playing a few chords, and all of a sudden something will come. Lately, it's really been like that. It's like, I mean, I've got like 30 songs in the can right now, and, you know, that maybe will never be heard, you know, that are all recorded and stuff and ready to go. That a lot of them just came from me sitting down and playing my guitar and putting a couple beats up, you know, just something to play to, because I used to be a drummer, as you know, and I just can't. I like to have rhythm behind me. I'm a real rhythm guy.
Sure.
And so that happens. The other day I wrote a song called "Ghost in the House," and it was strange because it's like it was given to me. You know, I mean, I thought, how can I write that into a song? How can I make that into something? What is that about? And I internalize it, and all of a sudden, literally visions come, and because of my experience, the doors are always open to to wherever that is, where those songs are, and so I'm able to visualize it and get it going. And I thought, well, I remember a song a long time ago. It was on the charts called "Teen Angel," and it was about a car crash.
Yep.
And you know how teenagers were at the time, they were crying for each other and everything else. It was so sad. Well, I thought that's an interesting way of approaching this, a ghost in the house. And basically it turned out to be that this guy loved this woman, and she was on the other side of the veil and he was on this side, and they couldn't touch each other, couldn't get to each other. And they were freaking work, and she was always on his bed crying, and all he wanted to do was die, and not morbidly. He just wanted, it was a love story. He just wanted to be with her, you know, way. And it happened because they were driving one day, and they were trying to get home. It was icy in the roads, and he was going too fast. And she kept telling him, please slow down. And they had a car crash, and she dies in the crash and he doesn't. And so she's now at his house all the time, and she's not haunting him in the sense of a dark spook. Yeah. She's haunting because she loves him, and he's trying to get to her, and that's what it's about. And so all of a sudden, this title, Ghost in the House, turned into this one incredible tune, and it really came off well.
I want to see the fucking movie now. I was like, geez, yeah. It's like I'm right there. It's like, yeah, tell me more. That's
well,
awesome.
Listen, can you hear music from there too? Does it come through your speakers and stuff?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Can I play you something?
Oh, fuck, can you ever?
This is a new piece. The reason I said this is because you just said, I want to see the movie.
Yeah.
Well, this piece I finished writing and recording is music and a narrative. And it's about a guy in the desert. It's called Under a Hot Desert Sun. And it's narrative, and it's about this guy talking to himself about his woman that left him. Okay, let me see if I can get it to you here. Okay, where's that little thingy?
This is awesome, Ken.
Okay. Okay, I blocked it. You can't see me, can you? Okay.
No, we can.
Yeah. No, we can.
Okay, this is called Under the Desert Sun. I think you'll be interested to note that it's a little like a Robbie Robinson. Mm-hmm. It's not meant to be, but it is a little like when you have narrative with music. There are lyrics and there is singing, but the story is a narrative. I've never done anything like this before, and I thought I want to do more of this because, like I said, it's theatrical and it's a movie, and you can see it in your head. Here it comes. I'm playing everything and recording everything.
I could see the sun was rising over the eastern mesa, chasing the night shadows away. My mouth was dry as I headed down to the well. The rain was late, leaving the dust devils to have their way with the sagebrush, tossing it high up in the air. Last night I was filled with painful dreams of her slamming the door behind her. Now all I could feel was the heat of the desert sun. I raised the bucket from the well, splashing the dust from my face, letting the water run down my chest, praying it might wash away some of the sweat from that old heartache. In the night, my only companion was the wail of a coyote, crying to the moon, maybe for both of us. Who knows, just wishful thinking. Back to the cabin, under the desert sun. As the day wore on, the heat was almost unbearable. I kept scanning the horizon, hoping to get a glimpse of my angel. But who am I kidding? She was long gone by now, heading to the city to meet him. How did that happen? What did I do wrong? I'd almost sell my soul to see her walk through the door one more time. But your mind could play tricks under the hot desert sun.
Here's the reason why. He called her angel, but she had those devilish eyes. He fell for her kisses, he fell for her heavenly light. From LA to Barstow, the wind and the Mustang would ride. Under the desert sun.
Now I'm laying in my bed with that moonlight for a pillow. I feel a cool breeze softly blowing through the curtains as I fade in and out of a dream of you and him. I wake up in a sweat with that pain in my chest. Will I ever be free of her? I guess I'll just have to wait and see what tomorrow brings. Under the hot desert sun.
He called her angel, but she had those devilish eyes. He fell for her kisses, he fell for her heavenly light. From LA to Barstow, the wind and the Mustang would ride. Under the desert sun. I'll just fade it out a little bit now because it's motion music now.
Well, straight up, Ken, now, I'm not a drug user, but I'm pretty sure I just popped acid and ate mushrooms, and I was reliving that whole scene of Young Guns movie where I'm trying to find my spirit animal. That's kind of where I just fucking was. So
Wow.
I'm just gonna put that out there.
Cool.
That
Well,
was cool. That was
for
very
me,
cool.
and you probably weren't going for this, but I heard the tune and it was like, oh, it's kind of a happy bop. Like I kind of felt my head, and then the voice came in, and the tone on the speaking voice, was that you that did that?
That's me. I do everything, yeah.
Wow.
So the tone of the speaking voice is actually haunting, and I found myself listening to that and then trying, like, I was trying to ping pong between the music, and it's a really, really neat effect. Like, wow. Now, if you were to submit that to somebody, would they go like, Ken? Like, would you get kind of this isn't what we expect from Ken? Do you get that?
Well, here's the thing. At my age, and because I don't have any what's the word? Any contracts with anybody other than my brother, we don't need contracts. We co-publish these kinds of tunes. Well, let me put it this way: I have no one to tell me now at all what to do, and I have, with my whatever experiences I have, whatever I want to do, I can do it. So as a creator, this is like a dream come true. I have my studio and my tools, same as my painting tools, and I can just paint or I can just do my music as I wish. So if I were going for a record deal with someone else, it wouldn't necessarily be what I would present.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it's one of those things where on every one of my records, I've always tried to put at least one piece that I would consider a work.
Mm-hmm.
Let me put it that way, a work. So I had my Dream Number 2 was a work.
Yes.
I've had Save the Forest was a work. On the last album, there was I think called I can't remember what it is. But I've always, and I have Pirates and Kings, which is a long piece where I would express myself and how I felt I would. So that might be one of those things. other than that, I wouldn't present that. I won't need to anyway, so that's all moot.
Well, you raise
Yeah,
a
yeah.
good point because, like, and you talked about, well, I'll just take us back again. So you're with CBC. You're doing the music hop thing. You hook up with Bill Medley from the Righteous Brothers, and then you basically get hired to write songs. So you can't help at that point to have a job writing songs, and it's got to be somewhat mechanical. So when you had the opportunity to let loose to something that's artistic and from your heart, you fucking run with it. I get it. Is it true or?
Well, it is, and so I have a tune that I released. Like we just released Desert Sun up to SoundCloud. I asked my brother. I said, "Look, I want to so I could have access to it to put it onto Facebook for my personal fans and friends.
Sure.
I wanted them to see the new piece of music that I did. I'm lucky. My Facebook people, I have like about 5,000 of them. Those ones who listen to me are very respectful. They don't come in to cause grief or whatever. They come to see my art and hear my songs and talk, and they have access to the artist. Okay, and that's just so wonderful. I have never had any trouble. So I always try to do that and bring something in, and so that I can. Well, it's like a painting I brought in just recently. I do a series of. I'm a landscaper, and I do all the other stuff. I do all that stuff you think about. But I do my space art, which I call the Far Off World series. My personal belief is I'm here to bring beauty into the world through music and art, and that's I'm sticking to that story. And so when I brought it in, it moved so many people. 600 people came in and said nothing but positive things. I mean, 600 people had the opportunity to say something good in the world and not something bad or negative. And it was amazing at that moment. I felt such great joy because I feel that that's kind of what I want to be able to do. In my own way is this through my songs, and to make people go, yeah, man, oh, that's good. I got off, and that makes me feel good. Or, yeah, man, I was thinking like, I millions of things going through my head right now, but I was playing at a place in Edgewater and outside of Quebec City or Montreal. And I had a really good band at the time. We had done my song Dream Number 2. And a whole bunch of bikers, in Quebec, there's a lot of bikers. And there was a whole group of them came in and sat down in the back, about 17 of them, And so after we were finished the show, which was really successful, we were breaking down the gear, and I was kind of packing up some cables and putting it in my guitar case. And I saw this guy at the corner of my eye, one of the bikers, get up, and he left the group, and he was, toughy looking, and he walked up, kind of coming to the tables because it was only waiters cleaning up the tables. And then he turned around and went back. Well, man, he did this about 6 times. And I knew in my head that he wanted to come to me and say something, but I stayed there. And finally he got to me and he said, and it was in French, so I'm going to say it the way I heard him say it. You wrote that tune, eh? You wrote that song, the Dream Number 2. And I said, yeah, I did. I kept my cables, and he goes, so you wrote that song. And he said that 3 or 4 times, like he wanted to make sure that I was the guy. And then he said he looked over at the table, and the boys weren't looking, and he leaned over, he says, and I get the feeling I fly too. I get dreams of flying. He wanted to be sensitive, and he wanted to tell me and have someone that could relate to about flying. He didn't want those tough guys to know that he was being gentle or whatever at that moment. And I thought, that was a moment for me. That was a great moment in my life, because that's exactly what I'm reaching out and trying to find. Those are the moments that are so rare.
Yeah.
That kind of contact.
Yeah.
And so anyway, this time it was like 600 people. And I thought, okay, it's moving up. Okay, that's great. So anyway, that's kind of how I feel with the songs. And I can do that now. About 8 years ago, I had a big tumor taken out of my stomach. Oh. And it was called a stromal tumor. And they wouldn't tell me that it had C on it, but nobody would use that word. But they said there was some things going on. And I had to take some stuff, which I finally didn't take because that was killing me. So I said, I'm not doing that. I'm good, by the way, by that. There's nothing going on.
Thanks,
and but I didn't know how to express those feelings that were pent up inside me, because I had heartache. I had, I wanted to go somewhere and cry, because I felt, oh my God, what's this, and all this stuff. I wanted to do all that, but I have a spiritual life and I meditate and stuff, so it helps to clear the air and clear me up. But there's some on the shelf. There's still some of that sadness and stuff you want to get out on the shelf. And I didn't know how to write it in a song, to speak to Sean's kind of how you write stuff. Mm-hmm. How would you write? Okay, I had a stromal tumor and it almost killed me.
Right.
Fuck, okay. And it just doesn't work. So one day I was sitting here and I used to have a couple boys come over and I was teaching them some guitar through my own music. And I had written these chord changes and they were really beautiful. Oh man, it was so cool. I put a beat on them. I said, let's just jam on this. And we were just jamming on these tunes and doing some lead. And it was just like taking us off. And everybody in the room was going, man, and this is how you know. Man, geez, that makes me feel good. My God, I really love playing this tune. And I went, that's it. And our first line in the song is, when I play this tune on my guitar, it makes me feel so good. It takes me so far, far away to another show where there are no more tears and there's no more sorrow. And I went, holy shit, and there's tears coming in my eyes. And I'm writing this tune. And my God, it turned out to be like just getting goosebumps. It made me feel so fantastic. And all my sorrow was leaving and, like, expressing in my guitar playing and stuff. And can I play it for you?
Yes.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. The reason I'm doing this is because you're talking about songwriting and how it inspires you to do stuff.
But this is
I'm really, really happy. Huh?
This is the coolest thing, Ken. We talk about this all the time. It's like why we as musicians, as artists, as as painters, as comedians, as whatever, is you need to emote something. You need to get something out of you, and hopefully someone else picks up on it, because it's just like you said, it brings joy. It emotes something, And,
well, sometimes you craft it, and like you go on stage and you do it that night, and you're doing your shtick, and it gets through. You didn't get really off, because really that's the idea. You're supposed to get off so you can bring them with you. That's the idea. You can't turn all those people on and forget it. It doesn't work. But you just feel like, but some nights, oh my God, you have those moments. The timing is right. It flows, and everybody's getting off, and it's like you all go up together.
Yeah.
I wanted to. When I did this song, I wanted everybody to understand, without preaching, exactly what happened with the song and how. Like I said, I wrote about the song. I wrote about how. That's what got it going. I wrote about the music we were playing, because Buddy said to me, man, this makes me feel so good to play this thing. I went, that's it. That was the avenue, and broke me through. Anyway, here goes. And this is actually the first time I really felt like I played my guitar like I felt I was singing it. It was the first time in my life that I actually thought it worked for both, and I was expressing myself. There it goes. Excellent. It's called Soul Tune.
The show, but there's no more tears and there's no more sorrow. When I play this tune, it soothes my soul, it heals my heart and it rocks my world. I gotta live another day. There's so much wonder and there's so much to say. I hear the sound of angels in the background, singing high and singing low. I hear the waves and the rushing by my window. When I sing this song, I feel the love, 'cause you're the one that I've been dreaming of. Every night and every day, you make me feel that I want to say. You rock my world, you rock my world, you touch my soul and it's sealed and it's sealed and it's sealed. You rock my world, you rock my world, you touch my soul, and you feel my soul too.
Yeah.
But the fate is still, I'm not alone. Someday the angel's gonna take me back home. Until that day, I'm never gonna be lonely. As long as you're my one and only. When the fate is true, I know it's true. Music can heal the pain inside you. I'm gonna play it every day. And chase the blue so far away. You rock my roll away, you rock my roll away. You touch my soul, and my soul, and your soul turns. You rock my roll away, you rock my roll away. You touch my soul, and your soul, and your soul too.
So,
You can
I'm
feel
right there, man. I'm right there.
and I'm watching you sing along. I'm watching you, and it's your song. And obviously it means a lot to you. And have you ever had to, give a song away that you felt as passionately about that, and the artist did it, and you go like, geez, they didn't really have my vision of it. And if you did, how did you deal with that? Because when I was watching you, I could tell you were so into that tune, and it was amazing.
well, it's like I'm listening to some of the guitar licks at the top, and they're expressing. It's there for posterity. It'll never be gone. I recorded it and I captured it for me. And so when I play those notes, they touch little sore spots in my heart, and they make me feel those feelings. And I'm glad. I mean, it brings out that within me, because it's like I said, something is captured. It kind of caught some light, and like, and you got it and you got it. And so every once in a while you do that. And that's, something that's like John Lennon said, he waits for the moments that the muse comes, that, they're not, the skies open up and they're given to him. And he waits for those moments. He lives for those moments, and that's exactly how I've always felt. I live for those moments. I'll give you an example. When I wrote the song Dream Number 2 about the little boy who wanted to fly, which is like, basically a lot of people know me for that. And I was in Montreal, and it was like, I had bell bottoms on, I was looking good. And I had a girl with me who was like dressed all in white with white bell bottoms and long blonde hair. Like, it was like the rock and roll dream of the moment. And we were all ready to go out. And we had smoked a doobie and whatever, and we're just like feeling great. And I said, I got to go to the bathroom. Or she said she did. So she left the room. I was living in a small little hole in the wall in Montreal in the ghetto. She went out of the room. So I was sitting down, I had a pad of paper and I was drawing these wings. And she came in the door and she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm drawing a picture of a pair of wings because I want to fly. Don't say anything." I just said, "Ariel, don't say anything." And I started to write. It was like automatic writing.
Yeah,
I wrote like 2/3 of the song right there at that moment. And when you think about that, I mean, how many people that has touched.
Mhm.
And I mean, the stories I just told about dreaming about that biker. There's another one about a man who was dying and he played that song every single day of his life in a lighthouse. He said she said his wife, every day he played that song in a lighthouse. He was a lighthouse keeper for 30 years. And then she got in touch with me one night and said he was dying and he ran out and had worn the record out. And I went, "Oh my God." I mean, it was killing me. I couldn't believe this. And I sent out the CD as fast as I could to get to him. And he played it. She said he got it. He played it 3 times over and he died.
Oh.
And when I heard that, I burst into tears. I went, "Oh my God, what you do, your karma, the karma you are, you got to be careful what you do." You know,
No, you don't, brother. You got to keep on doing what you're doing. Like that song you just had play for us there. That is, you can hear your soul in it. You know what I mean? So you got to get that out. Like people have to hear that stuff, right? To Sean's point, could you sell it? I don't know. It's like selling your kid, right? It's
so
like
we don't sell. We just we give what we do is we just give a license for someone to do it. And listen, once a song is released already, they still have to. Nobody has to ask permission to record it. They just have to get a mechanical license, so that who knew who to pay.
right.
Whereas if a song is unreleased, then if somebody heard it, they have to ask permission to use it and it's not released yet. It's like your copyright. Like you paint a painting, you sell the painting, but you own the picture. You still own the image of what's on there. They can't go and make 25 copies of that. They own the original. Anyway, so yeah, but every once in a while, I mean, I've had Every Bit of Love, for example. I mean, I never thought anybody would do a version of it. And this guy did a version of it. It's way better than mine. I mean, to me, it was mine reached people. There's no doubt about it. It had its own thing. I just, sometimes I wish I could go back and re-record it, make it better than I thought it was. But this guy did it in a sort of R&B way.
Mm-hmm.
And it had this thing about it. I never thought to ever hear it that way. He came to me one day, said, "I want to record that song." He says, "I'm a kind of a guy who works with, at discos and stuff like this." And I said, "Yeah, okay, well," he said, but it's a song that would be cool for whatever. I said, "Then do it like rhythm and blues or something, like try to go that way with it." And he did. And man, it was remarkable. I still play it now. I love it. The way he went with it. It's out there, but I really enjoy it. And my version of Stay a While is so different than the Bells version because
Right.
I do the Roots version. And the difference is you guys are musicians. The difference is I'm going do da dee be do be da dee be, that feeling. And the Bells, Charlie, when he played guitar on, he went do do dee boo do boo dee do boo dee do, and turned it into a pop thing where I was doing it with the Roots kind of way of finger picking song and whatever. And I recorded it in LA with the Wrecking Crew.
That's one of my favorite documentaries of the last probably 5 years.
Listen, there was a bunch of guys in the Wrecking Crew, but the basis of the Wrecking Crew was Hal Blaine, Joe Osborne, Larry Necto from the group Brad on keyboards, and then from there went out. But that was your basic guys. And I had like Larry Carlton, you know who I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He played guitar with them. So I had Larry Carlton as part. He was never really considered a Wrecking Crew guy, but he had the chops, no doubt, on that record. And so the funny thing about that is when we did Stay a While, the producer was younger than I was. And he really never had the experiences that I had in music in the sense of roots music, coming from the Maritimes, blah, 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 how we approach rhythm and blues here. St. John's a rhythm and blues town.
Mm-hmm.
It was anyway. And
industrial, right?
Industrial, absolutely. And so he he produced the Osmond Brothers, which were like the White Jackson 5, so to speak. And they were huge, and they were on the same label on MGM. So they got him to produce me. There's a guy coming in, and a new artist will go and produce him. Okay. So he wrote some charts. He took Dream Number 2, took the 7/8 out of it and just straightened it out. And so when I was in the studio recording, Hal Blaine counted it in, and I went one way and the band went another. And he goes, ho, 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 hold it. Meanwhile, there's no coincidences. The producer happened to be out having a leak. And so he wasn't there to see this go down. So Hal Blaine says, hey, kid, come on in here. Come in. Because I was actually playing with these guys. I played with the record crew, played my guitar. And so we go into the room, and he said, I sat down in the middle of these guys, and he said, play it. So I played it, and he went, oh, yeah, okay, we see. And so Hal saved that tune from to the original feel of it, whatever it was. You know what I'm telling you?
Mm-hmm.
When you get some of that stuff, if you change it, I had a friend of mine was singing Four Strong Winds, that song by Ian and Sylvia, which is a great Canadian song, just great. And it really tells a story. But that melody is so haunting that they were singing it, but they were changing the melody as they were singing it. And they didn't mean anything by it because they never knew they never really had, I guess, the feeling about what that was about, where it was from. So I said to them, and they're a really good friend of mine. I love them. I've written songs with them, and they're really good people. And I said, I really never liked your version of it. And the person said, why? I said, because you changed the melody so much that there was no more emotion left in it. You have to understand what that's about. It's like Canada. It's out west. There's like long roads and people are lonely. And like, he's leaving the woman. And I'll look for you if I ever pass this way. I mean, God, it's so nostalgic. And this person was light-minded about it, didn't realize it. And I said, you should really listen to the version that was written by the original Ian Tyson and sung by, because Neil Young, he does it exactly like that. He knows.
Yeah.
I saw his concert recently on television, and he sings that song, and he talks about that whole thing I just mentioned to you, how it makes you feel. And when he was a kid, that song, he kept playing it because it made him feel such a way. Songwriting, man.
And it's funny. I find, this is just my opinion, so hopefully, take it for that. But I find now there's songwriting to me. It just seems like it's a cookie cutter, churn out the next thing. There's not a lot of soul in what you hear now, and I'm not going to pick on any genre. I just, as in general, I just find it's kind of, I don't listen to some of the tunes and get a feeling like I did when I was like in grade 7 in junior high, hearing a tune for the first time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Well, I think some genres out there now, they're not my culture as well. So I can dig it from musically. For example, I can dig rock musically, and I can understand its beats, and I really dig that sometimes, the way the words are done and how they cut time and whatever. I can dig it. But I listen to the content, and it's not my culture. I don't identify with it. I understand it, but I don't identify it like that. So that's not my music. Hip hop, on the other hand, some of hip hop I really like, and I really like because I'm a rhythm guy, and I always loved reggae, and I always liked rhythm and blues, and anything that was like that. So, but I get you. I still listen to pop music when I paint. I listen to radio. Sometimes I'll go and I'll listen to Monkey House, one of my favorite bands. That's the lead guy's from Canada, but he's down the States. It's a great band. They're like the Doobies. Oh my God, they're good. And but I listen to pop music just to see what's going on. I hear some good singers, but I hear a lot of acrobatics. I hear some songs but the songs are really, most of them are really quite trite, except for Pink. Pink writes about stuff. I really dig. She writes about good stuff and around her and so on. Others, what surprises me, there's not much content, social content in the tunes.
No.
Because, especially in these times.
There's nothing left. No social content left. Everyone's got it already exposed on social media. There's nothing left. You know what I mean? And to your point, you can't take that emotion, that experience, that culture, and you can stuff it into some homogenized digital box and to make use of it. I just don't know if you can do that. Now you put it on an analog record and you listen to, I don't know. Like
I do. What I do like about some of it is the recordings, the actual recordings, and some of the sounds and some of the. I kind of dig some of that stuff because as a producer and a bit of an engineer here, I dig using my stuff to make the things I want to be really of good quality. Because like I said, I'm doing, all of it's an art to me.
Right.
And I'm always striving. There's like, God, I feel like I'm just starting on the road. You know, there's so much to learn and do. I'm excited. I'm a creative junkie. You can see I'm talking a little fast now because I'm getting it.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a creative junkie. I just can't wait until I write something or the next song. When I went fishing with my friends, we go to a hole and we fish. I'm there for like 2 seconds. I got to go around the bend. I can't stay here.
Yeah.
I got to see what's around the next bend. There's got to be a fish here, you know. And that's always the way I've been with my art and my music. It's what's the next canvas going to like? I put a canvas up. It's white or not white, but I look at it. I go, what's going to happen on this thing? And all of a sudden, this stuff appears. It's just pretty phenomenal.
You know? Well, you mentioned you say you're a creative junkie, Ken, and I mean one of the biggest things that I think takes the wind out of the sails of a creative junkie is the business side of things, where you gotta worry about that. And I've read story upon story upon story of how people that wrote songs back in the day had a very hard time getting compensated for them, and it seems to, you know, cleaned up now. We had Bruce Wheaton on the show, and Bruce found out 10 years after the fact that Cass Elliot did one of his tunes.
Yeah.
And my line was, you know, did you get paid for it? He goes, well, eventually.
We musicians are suckers. We're like anything else. You pat us on the back. We're almost like those. Unfortunately, those cool black guys who in the past, when they just started in making records in record companies, and the record company guys say you could buy a Cadillac for like $2,500, and so this guy never had one before, and he walks in, hey, to this black cat who's selling 1 million records, and they don't know how much money is being made, and they give him a $2,500 Cadillac. They go, oh my God, I got me a Cadillac. You know, next thing you know, they're driving down the road, and that's how they paid them. Sam Cooke, same way. Sam Cooke never really made any money off his records until that guy named Klein, who worked with the Beatles a little bit and worked with the Stones a little bit, they didn't like him too much, whatever. That guy approached Sam and said, look, I know there's money out there for you. He says, so I'll tell you something. If I can find your money, you give me half and I'll get your money. Guy says, sure. He never expected it. He walked in one day and passed him a check for $100,000. And Sam Cooke cried. Mm-hmm. And so that meant there was $200,000 out there. And so that's the first time he had any real money.
You're crazy.
And listen, when I was in New York, well, first of all, I was in LA. I was recording a song especially for Mike Curb, who was the CEO of MGM at the time. He owned the Jackson, or not the what do you call it, the other band I was mentioned for, not the Jackson 5, the other group, the white group.
Awesome.
He owned them. That's why he sort of had his position at MGM, because he had that power. They were making piles of money for the company. Anyway, what's my point?
Writing? Credit?
Yeah, I was writing a tune for him. He's this tune called "Now I'm in Love" or something. I this pop tune, and he said, "I want to record it. So I want you and Michael Lloyd to go in." And I was getting my own, actually my first co-production credit, and which was important along with artistic thing. So we're in there. We're doing this thing. I'm putting a harmonica solo on the tune in a booth. There are guards, you can't get in the building. There are some guards out there. It's still back in that time period, but nevertheless, you can't get in the building. MGM get in the studio. All of a sudden, the booth door opened, and this reverb, I've got reverb in this harmonica thing, and this guy sticks his head in. I don't know who he is. I'm going, holy shit, I'm in Hollywood. Has he got a gun? What's he going to do? And I said, who the hell are you? What's going on? And he says, no, don't worry. No, he says, you're the guy that wrote that song, Stay While. I said, yeah. He says, who's got the publishing? That's the money guy. That's the guy you were talking about. That's the money guy. Okay. I went, you get the fuck, let me get him out of here, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, he goes over, and and it was a good take. I had to do another take for that solo. Okay. Now we're in New York at Polygon Records. Okay. We're sitting in the office with the guy who owns the guy who runs the place. And we're sitting there talking, and he's telling me, he says, yeah, Stay Awhile, you got to write some more he's got this New York accent, you know, you got to write some more of the Stay Awhile tunes. He said, we got to make a lot of money like this. I kept saying that. And he said, so what have you been doing in your life? I said, oh, I broke up with my girlfriend. Oh, that's great. That's really good. You broke up with your girlfriend. Write a lot of songs. Make us some money. Kept saying that stuff, right? So I'm sitting there, and the door opens, and in comes that guy that was broke into the booth. He walks in the door, and I said, and I remember using the expletive. He says, "You that looking guy?" He says, "Who ruined my recording session?" Came in and he kind of shy, and the head guy says, "Oh yeah, he works for us. He's now working for us. He's one of our runners of tunes. You know, they place tunes in places. He's one of our guys." But these guys were all like they were Carney guys or something. You know, if you read the book Hitmen. Oh, that book will tell you everything about what happened with CBS and in the beginning and guys with baseball bats banging on the table in front of you when managers came in. So you want money? This is your head. You see this? And he's swearing and swearing. All these guys. I grew up and went through that stuff. I saw that in the business. I was signed to Cobert Records. Bert Sugarman, who had the big midnight special.
Yeah.
He was my manager, and Pierre Cassette, who owned the Grammys. Those two guys are my managers. I mean, they're tremendous power that these guys had. I hardly saw them. If I had trouble, I'd call them up. Maybe a month later, they'd say, "Well, what's the problem? Come and see us." I can't remember what the problem was now. You know, that's kind of what it was. You know, and they were running the company. We found out they were running that company that I signed to. Let me put it this way.
You can swear.
No, it's okay. You got two companies. One company is working for you. The other company is not working for you. And you use the company that's not working for you to alter your income tax with the other company. It helps you to offset because one's running at a loss and one is not.
Right.
Okay? Well, the company I'd signed to they were running it at a loss, and I didn't know that. Okay? So here I am, not knowing anything about publishing, saying to the head of the record, to the publishing department, Eddie Ray, who owned Imperial Records and Fats Domino and a lot of stuff. He was a big black cat with a big cigar. He said, "Come on in here, kid. I got to hip you on something." Closes the door and locks it and says, "Well, look, I got to tell you something. You know, they didn't expect to have this hit you had, Stay Awhile. You brought money in. Okay? They owned the public, brought money into this company. And they were surprised. And so they don't run. I said, aren't they supposed to run the tune? Put your hand, let's say the song Snowbird. Snowbird, when that became a hit, Elvis Presley recorded. He sold 1 million records with that song on it. So there's money made there. Somebody else recorded it, Glenn Campbell. Okay, that's what you do. You run the tune when it's hot to all these various other peoples and they cover it in their own areas, like Hank Snow did Stay a While.
Right.
Okay, in the country market. So that's how you make money on the publishing thing. Well, I said to Eddie, I said, how come the song's not being run? I don't hear anybody them picking up anybody. Definitely Southeast Asia, whew, it's still top 40 down there. And so it's really been big down. Lots of South Asian people recorded the song. But so he said, he told me what the truth was. He said, the companies, they're not running any, they're not going to do anything. I went, oh my God. That's when I had to leave them. Okay, so I called my brother in who knew a little bit about business, and we had a meeting with them. And Bert's walking in the back, and he's nothing but a real car salesman. That's what he started with. His father gave him $60 million. He has all these car lots down through Downey and Encino and all this down around there. And he had a high-class escort service. Not sex, I don't think, but he had his women, and that's when I met him. You know, the alligator on his shirt, you know, nice slacks and white shoes, and on Rodeo Drive. That's a Dick Clark looking guy. That's these guys were Dick Clarks, right? And then there was Pierre Cassette, who actually was from Montreal. He was a good man. I really liked him. I don't think he knew much about my contract. I don't think he knew even I was on his label. But it was Bert who had pictures of nude women on the walls and a big bedspread in his office and a big brass bed in there with a big S on his breast. I mean, this guy. Anyway, so I said, listen, guys, I don't think I should be on this label. You know, I should go somewhere. I haven't played anywhere. I have an H1, H2, but I don't have an H1. I haven't played. I haven't, grooved. I'm just writing for you. That's all I'm doing. Hanging out and having a good time down in California, smoking pot and writing songs, 4 songs a month. That's all I had to have. So it was, wait a minute, time is going by here, so, and I remember when I said, so I think I should get off your label, and would you let me go and we'll work out something equitable, blah, blah, blah. And what's his name? Sugarman started laughing. What? You see, they knew in the future, if they kept me, that sooner or later I'd probably be on the Sonny and Cher show because they were affiliated with it. I'd be on the Sonny and Cher show and so on and so forth if I had stayed. I didn't want to be groomed that way. I didn't want to go that way. I had too much rock and roll in me to go and become like a celebrity, singer guy. I didn't want to do that. I'd left Bobby Darin and those guys a long time ago. So anyway, so they laughed and we said, okay, we didn't have any money. Didn't have any money. And so I said, what are we going to do about this, Ken? Tony says, just let's go. I was humiliating myself because I was like showing my emotions for, well, guys, because I'm a nice guy. What are you doing? You should let me go. And Tony just said, let's go. So we left and we went to MGM. I knew the lawyer that they had at MGM, and he had his own office. We used to play guitars together. Sitting in his office, he had a big shag rug, and he had nothing to do until some business came up. They had to do a contract or something. And we went in, and he said, oh, my God, what do you want? I said, we told him what he wants. I said, Jesus, don't let anybody know it's conflict of interest. He closed the door. And he said, can you help us out? We need to get a lawyer. He said, I can't do anything because I'd be conflict of interest. He said, but I know this guy, and he's what the name was the office? Anyway, I can't remember quite his name, but anyway, we knew this guy. He's in the Beverly Hills hotel area. There's an office there. Go see them, and you can talk to him. So my brother and I go in there, going up the elevator with Michael Douglas when he's young. Hey, you're Michael Douglas. Yeah, I said, a buddy of mine, Michael Brandon. He's a friend of mine because he's a young up and coming actor. Yeah, I know Mike. So little, it was great. A little talking to the guy, right? And he was cool. So we get off and we go, and he was going to his lawyer. So we get off and we go to this guy and we say, look, this is a story. We don't have this, we don't have that. Can you help us out? We told him we got to get out of this thing. And he said, I'm sorry, I can't do that for you because I've just signed a contract with Paul Simon, and he and I are opening a business in New York or whatever. And he looks just like Paul Simon. He was a little guy, looked like him. So he said, but we know this lawyer. And this lawyer, his name is Gregory Fishback. Man, I love this guy. I'll never forget his name. Great man. He said, he's just an up and coming guy. And maybe he'll take this upon himself, and because he's learning and so and so, maybe he won't have to pay much money. So my brother and I go in, and my brother's got a legalese mind. He can reach what they say, fly shit off of paper. He can see, he can see stuff. So week after week goes by, I have to go to the office and sit there, read the same old magazines while these guys are going over the contracts and over the contracts. Till finally my brother says, Gregory, what's this? And Gregory says, oh. And looked up and smiled and says, we got them. Just like that. And I went, oh, what? And there was a clause in it that the Grassroots original band had set a precedent on in the music business when it come to publishing stuff and when it come to contracts. And so that's kind of what it was. It was almost like, because I signed the management contract first, then I signed these other contracts for publishing and recording and whatever, that they could go over me twice or something, because they own me too. So they were getting whatever. So anyway, yeah, I'm not sure exactly how. That's where I don't know where to go. Anyway, so, we got out of the contract, but here's the story. At the time, a copyright basically is like a piece of land, and the land has value. So Stay Awhile's copyright was worth like $75,000 back in 1972. But on the land is a publishing company that's built that makes money on the land. That's the other thing. So anyway, so a copyright is worth a lot of money, especially one that sells that many records and could have the longevity. So they said, we're going to keep Stay Awhile. We'll let you out of the contract, kid, but we can keep you in the courts for 10 years because we have so much money. And that's the Trump syndrome. That's what Trump does. He wears his people out. They say, oh, uncle, and he gets off. But so that's what they said, but we will give you back I got Dream Number 2 and all kinds of other copyrights that I really glad I got, but Stay While I didn't get. I still got my writer's royalties, but I never got any publishing, which is another large amount of money, which, you know, whatever, if it was my song, you know, plus owning the copyright, you can, if you own the copyright, like I said, it's worth so much money that comes in over a period of time, you could go to the bank and buy a house.
Right.
You know, kind of thing. So that's what it's equity. This is what you earn and what your life, you know, this belongs to you. So I got into this a little heavy, but this is the part of the that Sean was mentioning. This is the side of the business that I learned about.
Mm-hmm.
And I hated it, and it tore me apart sometimes, took me away, you know. But at the same time, if you're an artist, everything that goes in, everything that happens to you goes into the mill, and you use it. You use it. It's like acting. I mean, I was studying to be, you know, I was up for Jesus Christ Superstar.
That's all right.
Honest to God, I was up for that, and I scared the living out of me. I had the look at the time. I had a beard, and I was Middle Eastern, long hair looking, and I could sing. I could do all that stuff, but I didn't have the acting chops. And when you have to be a triple threat, so to speak, when you're in Hollywood, and you have to learn to sing and dance and blah, 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 blah. And although the new breed wasn't doing that, like the Joni Mitchells and the stuff that lived in the Ural Canyon, you know. But so anyway, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm rambling.
Man, I'm enjoying it. Like I know we had to watch for the time, but Ken, I just maybe we should bring you back because there's so much stuff that you experience. Like, and it's funny that you just mentioned that point now to Sean's point. You didn't think you knew much, but well, you clearly do know a lot about the business. You know what I mean? I froze? Oh.
Yeah.
Clearly, you do know a lot about the business because you had to.
Business back then. I don't know, but it's different now.
No, but
it is. But I personally think that it was obviously the groundwork for the way things are done now, and people that are in that industry. This is what works. This is what doesn't. A whole lot of what works. A whole lot of what doesn't get. And I still think that stories like you're talking about, I still feel happen today. Somebody, you know what I mean? Yeah,
you're probably right. And out of the way, I noticed that my brother was telling me that he was mentoring a young singer, and she was like, in the pop thing that's happening now, and she was a songwriter, and she took her original pieces of songs and went to these guys that call themselves producers, and they're guys that put the beats on and all this kind of stuff, right? And they want to own a piece of the writing, and they didn't do anything. They didn't write the melody. They didn't write the idea. They should be compensated for their input in an arrangement. But that's what it is. It's basically arrangement. But in those cases, the arrangement is now starting to be part of the song because I think back to the song Baker Street. Do you remember that one, Jerry Rafferty?
Yeah.
Yep.
The opening was a sax solo. But it was really, I mean, as soon as you heard that lick, you freaking knew it was a Rafferty tune, and it was like #1. You just knew it. Well, whoever did that, I mean, that's a melody. That's part of the song. They should have been compensated for that, not just a musician coming in, paying scale, and out he went. They should have got compensated for that because that was part of making that song artistically presentable as well as being a hit record, and so on. Anyway.
Well, and obviously that was a big bone of contention with the Wrecking Crew. I remember reading, Carol Kay was just absolutely livid that the amount of work that they put into something that she didn't feel they were properly compensated for. And I mean, those are tunes that, they're landmark tunes that they had a hand in.
Absolutely. Like if you think though, when you saw those videos of Hellblade playing with Buddy from the, Jesus, come on. 75, you start losing it. It is so true. When the Beach Boys were there and Brian was showing him stuff on the drums, he would say, no, I want you to play this. Well, he basically was a tool for Brian to use. Those guys really knew how to do that. They didn't get their ego all out of shape when somebody said, would you play it this way? Would you do that this way, kind of thing. There are some people just musicians will not let it go. You hire them, you get what they give, what they are. Okay, that's one way of doing it. But in this case, the Wrecking Crew, where in that, I should say, the case of Brian, that I would say not necessarily more compensation because it was Brian giving him the parts to play and so on and so forth. But on other ones, when people like, I don't know, I Want to Be Bobby's Girl or something like that. When they played on those sessions, I mean, nobody told them what to play. They just said, here's the chart. This is how long it is. This is a chord chart, and play it. And they played, and they did their thing. They added their things in the rap, pop, pop in between, and so on. I hired guys all through my career, major guys. I worked with Mike Giles from King Crimson. This drummer was unbelievable. But when he played on other people's sessions, like on my song Fly Me High, Jesus, you listen to that tune and you listen to the kick drum and the snare. He was driving that song. Holy shit. I mean, I'm so glad he was on the record. He played simple, but my God, I mean, he should have got another taste. He really rocked that tune. He really made it go. And he made me go. He was like, if I have to say, we were of the same caliber. I know rhythm, and at the time, and I was at the peak of myself being that accomplished. And when we played together, Jesus, I looked at him through the booth, and we were just rocking together. He was just smiling. And you know something? It wasn't just a musician. We used to go off together and do a spliff and go eat, because he was in the health food. We'd go to Crumbs across in London and eat the health food. And he'd tell me about King Crimson and so on and so forth. So my point was, we kind of hooked up because we were on that level of playing.
Right.
We kind of hooked up, and it was, that's the idea. He could really play. Another guy, again, besides Hal Blaine, is a guy by the name of Paul Humphreys. When you talk about Carol Kay and Paul Humphreys played on my very first hit record in California that Bill Medley produced. You're Not Even Going to the Fair. And it started off with a kind of I would say a folk idea, the way the guitar is playing, but I said I want it up and away kind of rhythm underneath it because it's very syncopated. He said, yeah, okay, I got it. And then I said, on a certain point, I just want you to accent like a bang, gong, gong on your left hand. It's hardly ever heard it, but there it is. He played it. And he made that song happen because he had this bounce, this real syncopation in the tune that really made it. And Carol Kay, of course, the way she played. She used to play with a pick, eh? Mm-hmm. She was crazy that way, but she was a nice lady. I really got off on her. Nice person. Yeah. So,
Ken, it's funny because we talk about that. It's have you seen that movie, The Hired Gun? The Hired Gun.
Who's in that?
It's it's like Billy Joel's drummer, you know.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I know, yeah, I saw that, yeah.
But I mean, like, you talk about the folks at the Wrecking Crew, same as Muscle Shoals, same as the Motown guys before that. I mean, it's too bad that those guys weren't in one band because it's what you're talking about. You know, the drummer from King Crimson there. You guys could have been in a band together. You could have written together. You know what I mean? Right. But he's hired as a session guy, and he does his job and where he goes, right? I mean, how many of those songs was really created by, Muscle Shoals, whether it be the Wrecking Crew, whether it be the Motown guys? They wrote the songs, really.
And they also had a vision of how they should sound. Mm-hmm. So that's why they also selected those guys.
That's right.
So there was a part of that as well. I mean, like you, I've watched a lot of those even movies that were made about that time period, and you could people who were acting as specific stars, like a Buddy Holly or whatever. Mm. And it's interesting to see how much they were involved. Like Buddy Holly, he was totally involved. I mean, he totally was into everything, the production, the melodies, whatever. And the guys were basically sidemen. The guys that played with him in the Crickets. And in a way, I know what that was like when I was with Charlie and Michael. Not that they were lesser than mine as far as musicians. I learned so much from Charlie Clark, especially. My God, what a player! And he lives in St. John now. He lives he has a boat and stuff. He doesn't play guitar anymore. God, what a guitar player. Jesus. He used to have 60. Anyway, that's another thing. I love him. We almost froze to death up in Bacomo. We traveled the world together. It's just unbelievable. But I say, but really, what Hollywood wanted was me, the guy who wrote the songs. That's really what it was about. It was like the guy who wrote the songs. You think about... what's the name? Fleetwood Mac. There's a bass player, and the drummer's known because he's kind of unique. But really, if you think about those, you think of Stevie Nicks and the songs, and you think about Buddy play guitar. Those are what you think about, the songs, the songwriters, and he's a great guitar player as well. So I don't know. The song to me has always been, you can't do nothing without the music. Just forget it. You know, first came the drum, and then the drum, when they changed the tones of it, you got some notes. And so I played congas in my bands for years. I've always loved to play something, you know, whatever. And and then, you know, came melodies and stuff, and they were unique to the person's emotions and what they lived and what they went through. Pretty simple. Day-o, day-o. I mean, that's just, you know, dun, 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 dun. I was thinking about that, you know, Dragnet. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
All those hooks, those amazing hooks. I mean, you think of music, what you make, why they're so important and why in a song, because they really draw the person to never forget that, you know, draw you right to it, you know, some lick. What's that tune? Rocked out like a douche, another roamer in the night.
Yeah.
Line up with a light. Line up with a light.
That douche, it was supposed to be deuce, but the way the guy said it through his molars or whatever, it turned out to do so. For years, a lot of people knew that song for that hook right there.
Yeah.
Up like a douche, another. I mean, it's crazy, but it's true. You know, so hooks are so important in songs. I mean, and if you're a guy, like I said, a guy like me who got fortunate enough to be able to write that stuff and became in demand. Listen, when that song was climbing the charts, me and G. McClellan, that moment that happened, and then I got to number 7 and his went to number 1. I mean, that's just unbelievable to have a song go that far on the American charts with the talent that's around, right? Mm-hmm. When they said to me, when BMI called me and said, you know, your song was happening, I was just flabbergasted. And then they said, do you want some money? And I went, oh, they'll advance your money. You know, I said, okay, you think I could have $300 so I could buy a new guitar? And they said something quite higher, much higher than that. And at that moment, I just looked and I said, I've arrived.
Yeah.
I'm a professional songwriter. I've arrived in Hollywood, and here I am. And this is success. You got a hit record, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, it doesn't last that long. It's okay. What lasts longer is like the music that I'm doing and the way I feel. It's just.
Amen.
And that's
those are the things they'll be around for forever.
Yeah.
Your spirit tonight, like on our show, is going to be infectious. I mean, there's going to be a ton of people that are going to have a lot of questions about this whole thing. No, Ken. So, and I know you're part of the group, the Barstools and Bandtalk group. So please feel free to chime in. But when I hear this interview, please feel to chime in because people are going to ask a lot of questions. I can't personally believe the shit you've done in the last 60 years. Like it blows my fucking mind, right?
So I've been really fortunate. You know, I was one of those guys that I actually did follow my dream. I did get out of St. John. I tell you, if you go to Montreal, all the eastern side of Montreal, all kinds of Easterners living there. They never get to the other side. You go to Toronto, all the East Enders, all the East people from down east, they all live near Broadview and Queen and all the way down toward the beaches. They all live.
I lived at Greenwood and Danforth for 7 years, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
They could never get all the way to the other side. And so I remember writing a song called The Way Down the Road. And when my mother used to, when she was doing the dishes and I was 19, 20 years old, I would stand and look out the window and I could see across to the mountains on the other side. And I had these long eyes, these long looks. And I was just, you know, longing to go. You know, there was this, whatever magnet was drawing me. And Mom used to look over at me. And I wrote it in the song. I said, away down the road, that's where everyone wanders. Away down the road, that's where everyone goes. Away down the road, the grass looks much greener, but sooner or later it leads you back home. Was the chorus. And it goes, there was a boy who started from nothing. He came from the water, which is around, with his eyes on fire. And as he grew older, his heart became restless. His mother would watch him because she knew soon he'd be going away down the road. And so that's kind of like my poetry, but it's the truth. It's like there is a movie in Canada called The Way Down the Road. You know, it's famous. It's famous where two guys from Newfoundland take off and they go up to Toronto. And it's an amazing movie if you ever get a chance to watch it, because it really is a couple of Maritimers you know, with their way of talking, the way of thinking, and they're trying to get to Toronto and whatever. And so I say, hats off to Hank Snow. Hats off to Anne Murray. Hats off to people who actually left and got out and got away. And Brian Ahern. And I mean, nobody will really. Brian Ahern just got the Order of Canada, and he has the Queen's Jubilee, Queen's Crown Jubilee or something that they give out. And he's like I said, he produced George Jones and some of the Stones, and he produced Emmylou Harris and Anne Marie's all her hits, Brian's song, all those stuff. He produced all that stuff. Very eccentric dude. We started together in Halifax, and we were in a group called the Bad Seeds. He was the lead guitar player, and I was the drummer. And but he was the maestro. And this guy was a brain. Like, these kinds of guys are so close to going to the other side, you know, like in the sense of they're so smart, they're so bright.
Yeah.
At the time, he really had it under control. And he had such patience and taught me so much, guitar style. But Brian was also the music director of the television show, Music Hop and Sing Along, but he never liked to be on camera. Now, I just saw a photograph of him with Dolly Parton at his 75th birthday, with Colin Linden, a guitar player from Toronto, I know. And they're in there, and he's still, it could be the Queen of England. He'd still go, you know, still doesn't give a shit. You know, he's so eccentric, it's incredible. Because I have a book being written about my life's just been started, I had to get in touch with Brian.
Nice.
He's a part of it. Now, the thing is, all of us who knew him when we're intimate, like we were intimate, we played and worked together and everything, he doesn't always get back to you. He doesn't give a shit about you, you know, because he's just like, he's always been that guy. Like, he's just not totally on the ground.
Yeah.
He kind of poo-poos everything but what he does. And he's so brilliant. You know, Ricky Skaggs, when he wants microphones, he goes to Brian and he begs him, because Brian's got such a bunch of microphones, you know, for recording studios. Anyway, so Brian, I had to get in touch with him, and I never thought, call him BA, that he'd ever get back to me. And I just said the right things, I guess, and he just kind of 2 lines came back. Well, I don't know if I can remember much from the past, but you can pass on my phone number and my email to your book writer. So that right now, this is timely in the sense that we're talking. I'm so pumped because I've been interviewed so much and had to go back in the past and stuff. And I'm talking to all these people. Mike Duffy, Senator Mike.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we used to room together in Halifax. Mike was a DJ at one time.
Okay.
And so I had to get in touch with him. It's like, it's cool. He's still very much a maritimer. Like, you could hear it, you know. And I'm trying to get in touch with Catherine McKinnon, and Anne Marie will get back to me soon, just so they can I get some quotes from them and from the past. And I've had to go to England to a guy named Michael Brandon, who he was in a movie called Lovers and Other Strangers back in the late 60s, which was a big hit all over the world. That's his claim to fame as an actor. And he had a thing with Kim Novak, and he was married to Lindsay Wagner, the Bionic Woman.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's how Lindsay Wagner recorded my song, "Good to Be Alive in the Country," on her road. Go check out the
Lindsay Wagner recorded music?
Yeah, she sang a bit too. But on her show, Road to Nashville, was a special show based on music, because the spies were putting secrets on the 2-inch tape in the recording studio, right?
Yeah.
So they had this thing going on, and so when she sang the tune, you can go find it it's Google. It's fantastic. She's got Doc Severinsen trying to get a country accent going with those rhinestone cowboy shit on, and he's directing it. And then you got a couple of really, Nicolette Larson, God rest her soul, who sang, gotta have a lot of love. Back then, but she's dead. But she was singing background vocals with 2 other people, and Lindsay's singing "Good to Be Alive in the Country," which I wrote on Neil Young's ranch. And she's singing it, and I said, "What?" Because I met Michael. There's no coincidences. I met Michael, and I became friends, and I met her, and she liked to sing my songs. And when I went to Neil's ranch, I wrote the song, blah blah blah, and on it goes. There's so many stories, and By the way, I'm not name dropping. It's my life.
Yeah.
No,
Please don't think that. I don't want you to think
no.
that.
You know what? You've earned the right, my friend. You've earned the right, because name dropping to me is when somebody really hasn't done something and they're just trying to make a point in hopes that they get a rise or, be part of the conversation. But when you've done something, in my opinion, it's not name dropping. It's just historical facts.
I'm a little shy of it because I do get. It's hard when you're been somewhere like that, and then you're with people who don't have an idea about that. And so if you mention it, they sometimes look at you, go, "Who do you think you are?" Or something. Yeah. You have to be real careful because, like I said, I had to learn to put a large sword in a small scabbard, as they say. Just so that you can, and because it's a good idea. I don't want to be that person. It makes some people not feel comfortable. I want to be the real, the down home real person, and so on and so forth. But when I get into it, talking with you guys, talking with other people, and to bring it out, what you have been and what you do. Look, to me, the best thing of all is that I'm able still right now with my problems to still have the ability to create and still have the ability to play my songs. I can actually still sing them even with my COPD, but I have to be careful. And it's like, what did Charlton Heston say? You have to take it from my cold dead hand.
Yeah, probably from my cold dead hand. Yeah,
my guitar or the paintbrushes. You know what I mean?
Straight up, here's what I can tell right now, Ken. Like, and look, we're gonna have to call her tonight. You're an absolute maritime treat because you're authentic.
I appreciate that very much.
I can tell right now you're an authentic, you're a genuine soul. You mean it. You're not dropping names to be an arsehole. You live this life, and I'm really glad you were on our show tonight so that other people can hear about this story, because I don't know if a whole lot of people knew or not. I don't know.
I didn't know. I didn't know what to expect with you guys, because I saw some of your stuff, and it was like I saw you with Pammy. I really like Pam.
Yeah.
I never met her personally, but we talk a lot and we play pool, and I just love her. She's a doll.
Yeah.
And then I realized what she had done. So we traded records. I sent her my latest CD, and she sent me her CD, and I played them. Went, oh my God! See all those guys she played with? I knew them all.
Yep.
I know all those guys. I even worked with Richie Oakley at times, and with Jackie Harris. And those guys were just the cream down here. They're just great guys. And she worked with them all. She went up to Toronto, and I didn't know she had all that. And when she's singing, the songs are really good. I really enjoyed the recording. God, I loved it. It was just great. And that's how I met her. I still haven't met her in person.
Well, you make your way down to Halifax, or we'll get Pammy in the car, and we'll go up to St. John. But I think you're the kind of guy that Sean and I will agree with, like to sit down and have a beer with, for sure.
No, I was gonna say I'm gonna drop a name, and my name, or the name I'm gonna drop, is my new friend Ken Tobias, because like I say, I was supposed to be in St. John this weekend, but I will be back there real soon, and we're gonna in some way, somehow gonna hook up.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
I mean, totally in the right way. You look like you're from an Indigenous family, are you?
Actually, I'm not, but I do get that a lot.
You get that a lot? Because
I
have two friends, new Mi'kmaq friends here in New Brunswick. One guy I did a portrait of, and he's really a great one. One guy is just, Jesus, his mind is so incredible. He's just so beautiful mind. And Hubert Francis is his name. He's a real artist, and he's a singer, songwriter. And it's funny, Hubert got in touch with me, and I still was 2 left feet when I did how to deal with Indigenous people. I was not educated, and I made a lot of mistakes, and in how I should speak and what I should say, and so on. And I thought, well, this is dumb. These guys taught me how to be real, and they said, oh no, say whatever you want to say. And they were using the F words and stuff, and they were just cool. I said, oh, okay, I got it now. But when they get into the spirit, I really love it a lot. But anyway, I was going to say, it's too bad that, Hubert Francis be a good person to be on your show in that sense, because he plays for the Queen. His father was a chief, and they played for the Queen when she came here years ago. All through, they have a lineage of doing that, performing and stuff. So, but anyway, when they came to visit me one time, my mother, she's a really good cook. She still cooks well, even at 96. And so we were sitting down here, and Hubert says, can I play a song? He says, by the way, you've really influenced my music. I always take that with a grain of salt. Thank you. He picked my guitar, he picked my old Guild up, plugged it in, started playing it, and I turned my back. I thought it was me playing. The way that he was strumming, the chord changes he was making. He said, "I told you," and then he did one of his songs, and my God, I was so impressed. He was so good, you know. But my point was, again, you never know who you're going to influence. You got to watch your karma, man. You know.
Well, you hook us up. We'd be happy to have him on the show. Absolutely.
Yeah, Hubert Francis. He's a really good guy, and he's from the Miramichi.
Okay,
Yep.
so El Sabuktuk around that area? Is he from that reserve or El
I
Sabuktuk?
think he is.
Yeah.
And his brother is Brian Francis, who's on Facebook more, and they're all in communication with Alan Silliboy from Nova Scotia, the painter.
Oh, nice.
They all have this network going on there. But Hubert, like I said, he goes and plays everywhere all around, and he's good. He's good.
Right on.
He's a good player, and he's a good singer, and he got good songs.
I know who his mentor was, so I'm sure he is very good.
Well, I'm sure I'm just part of the story, you know, whatever. I tell you what, can I just play one more tune?
Sure.
Time?
Yep.
The reason I want to play this is because we just talked about some stuff. This is really almost like a travelogue in the way that I wrote it, because I said it's called Down in Hollywood. And it tells you what had happened in Hollywood. All the things that I did normally, like I shopped at the Tower Store. But that's something down there, because in the Tower Store, when you went in there, it was like David Bowie. There was like freaking any artist you want to know. They're all shopping the Tower Store because they had the best records. Okay, so so I put that in the song because that was an important thing to do when I was in Hollywood. Okay, so if you don't mind me, we're going to release this soon. I'm really happy with this.
Sure.
Again, I played everything on the thing, and I'm really happy with it. I just like the way it is. It's very simple. It's a travelogue. Okay, here it goes. Well, Down in Hollywood.
Hollywood, Hollywood, I've been to Hollywood. I drove the coast highway past Santa Monica Pier, down where the surfers play.
Done it with one guitar, acoustic.
Saw the stars in the road. Sunshine's there, wherever you go. Down in Hollywood, down in Hollywood.
Love this part right here.
Down on Old Berry Street, I heard the bomba play. I saw the sailing ships made of glass display.
That's what they used to do, the Mexicans. Make glass ships.
Shopped at the Tower store. Went to the whiskey and go. I played the troubadour.
And I played the Troubadour, that famous club.
Down in Hollywood, down in Hollywood. Oh yeah. Hollywood nights in the Hollywood hills. Following you was such a thrill. So much laughter, so much love. You were the one that I was dreaming of. So hold me close and hold me tight. I'll never forget those Hollywood nights.
A real radio song, eh?
Yeah.
Driving home.
Down in Hollywood, down in Hollywood. Chasing those Hollywood hills, falling for you was such a thrill. So much laughter, so much love. You were the one that I was dreaming of. So hold me close and hold me tight. I'll never forget those Hollywood nights.
I had just bought this Ed Sheeran little guitar.
Okay.
I just bought it. And it's got two guitars on it. That's it. One guitar playing, one guitar lead, and drums and congas.
Down in Hollywood, down in Hollywood.
You know what, Ken? I can kind of feel almost like what you were going through. And that was the 70s. You were in Hollywood, right? That's around the time you were there?
I was there between 68 and 72.
Yeah. You can almost feel that vibe in it. Like you almost hear a little bit of Beach Boys in the
Yeah. Well, you know something? I actually wrote a song called That Night in 69, and it's not meant to be a sexual position. But because 69 was a big year for me. I had my first hit record in Canada that was released, BMI Award. Bill Medley produced it. And I came back to Canada, and I went back down to the States, and I fell in love. Lots of I was moving around. I signed a new contract. It was a good year. So when I did the session with the Medley and the boys, it's in Hollywood. It's not who you are; it's who you know.
Yeah.
And that's how it happens. It's who you're walking down the street with. Look, he's with so and so. That ups your status, so to speak.
Yeah.
Whatever. And it was that, and that's why people drop. They tell the party they were at last night, and they're so yes, darling, I was with so and so last night. It was wonderful, And then so it's like jive, but okay, I know where you are. Kind of know where you are in your social standard. And but anyway, so that's the stories I have. There's so many stories just bursting in my head right now, like that you wouldn't believe that I know.
Write them down, brother. We'll have you back on the show, I promise, because people are going to ask a lot of questions. Maybe there'll be a part two because your history is so rich. It's overwhelming. It's awesome.
Thanks a lot, man. I thank you guys a lot. I don't usually kind of get off like this, and I do interviews. It's especially lately. We've been doing quite a few of them, and just kind of laying back. But this is kind of a release, if I might say.
Mm-hmm.
You're asking stuff, and you're interested in also listening to some of the new material, which I haven't played this hardly for anybody. It's just sitting
we
here.
Appreciate that for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And look, I learned a ton tonight, and we definitely do want to have you on for a part two. Just the whole, and I even thought, wow, wouldn't it be neat to do a session just on songwriting, totally on songwriting with you, and talk about that.
Well, that's so helpful to others. The songwriting thing, I have so many people that I know who write songs. I'll give you a little quick sum. I know I have a lot of asides, so I won't make too fast. But I was in Toronto doing, when I worked for the Songwriters Association, it was myself, Murray McLaughlin, a couple of other Canadian artists that we're all part of the Songwriters Association. And they used to put on these different things where song shops, as they were called, or song weekends and so on. A quick song shop would be like 4 or 5 celebrity songwriters would sit on a dais. It would be an afternoon thing, and then there was the people who came in to show their wares would have a cassette tape, and they'd have a set of lyrics for all of us. And there would be a guy on the right, and he would play the tune, whatever it was, and we'd sit there and we'd say, okay, or stop it, and then we would talk about it. And one guy got up, and his name is Glenn Hornblast. A great name, Glenn Hornblast. He got up and he did his thing. And I remember, I won't say the artist because shame on that artist for that moment. But the guy says, he says, turn that off. They wouldn't even let it get to a second verse. He said, turn that off. And I'll tell you what it was about, just to show you something and how important it was. So He said, so what's your name? Da, da, da. He said, so why are you writing songs? And the guy was kind of shy, and he said, well, I see things around me and I want to write about them. I just feel them, and so on and so forth. He said, well, he says, you need a lot of work. He said, well, thanks a lot. Bye. And dismissed him. And I said, wait. And I stood up and I said, look, guy, listen, man, do not stop songwriting. Because the guy, I know that was it. He might have walked away from it. He said, I said, don't stop writing songs. I said, you're on your storytelling. Well, where I'm from, in the Maritimes, there's a lot of storytelling tunes. And because we have a rich culture down here. And, and the buddy who was, don't get me wrong, I'm not mad at this man, but he was a professional. He was just in a bad mood or something, whatever it was. So anyway, so the guy said, thanks a lot. And I said, don't stop, keep working on that tune. The tune was about, and he had just started to write it, the tune was about a bag lady that lived in a bus shelter that actually he used to walk by every day. And he finally talked to the woman. Nobody ever talked to her. She was always, derelict, whatever. But that woman that was living it was from Europe. And they found out about her truly. She was from Europe. She was like a dame. And she had like money and wealth and all kinds of stuff. She was cultured, blah, blah, blah. Something happened in her life. And here she was living in a bus shelter. And this guy took the time to write the song. When I heard it, my Jesus, couldn't help but drop a tear. It just hit me right in my heart because it was so real and so truthful. So anyway, 30 years go by and I get an email and it's him. And he said, I just did my first new album and I'd like to send it to you. He said, thank you for saying what you said back then because I didn't stop. And here he was, his first record, and he sent it to me. And Jesus, almost every tune, the tears are coming to my eyes. The way he's got something about seeing the suffering of people. He's got something, a way of putting it down that so touches your heart. Well, maybe it's not a hit song, but that's not the point. The point is he touches whoever he touches. And so he may never get on the radio, So that's the reason that songwriting is so important, and you say the right thing to someone, because there's somebody out there who's just on the verge of getting something, but they're like frustrated like hell. Somebody like me comes along, or yourselves, and says, look, here's an avenue. Here's a way of thinking. Oh my God. And refurbishes them and refreshes, and man, they got it.
Yeah.
You want to know what, Ken? You just basically encapsulate what this show that we do is all about and why we started it, just in that story.
Really, man.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's to encourage, to inspire, and just not to give up. And, show a little bit of history, but to encourage folks. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, because there's so much talent here that never gets anywhere. It's not necessarily, maybe there's karma involved. Maybe I'm supposed to, this person comes up and sings in the backyard with a guitar with their mom and dad and some friends who play guitars, and they never go any farther, but they got a beautiful voice. And if they had the opportunity to be groomed a little bit, just groomed enough to, just to bring out those things without, getting in the way.
Yep.
Be too intimidating with what you do. You got to be careful there too. I learned a long time ago that you should follow the canon by thy God. Don't always lay your trip on someone. Listen to what their trip is, and because you can learn something. Like I've learned such things that I missed along the way that somebody will innocently say and go, "Holy shit! Do they know what they're actually saying?" Because to me, it's like it just broke the camel's back. With them, it might be just nothing. But you got to listen. So anyway, I do talk a lot. I have I don't mean anything by it. I do talk a lot because there's so much in there to get out. I live with my mother. I don't talk to people.
Listen, God love you. I know that story too. You're taking care of your 96-year-old mother, so God love you. You just have a heart of gold. And it's for us, Sean and I. It's been a pleasure to meet you virtually. Do this thing, but
my pleasure too, guys. It's just like I said, when I'm sitting down, and I don't drink beer, but I'll sit down with you and sometime and whatever.
You tell us what you want, we'll get it.
Yeah.
I'll take my oil.
All right.
Okay, Ken, listen. Let's have you back on. There'll be a part 2, fair to say, Sean. And people are going to want to have some more questions.
Absolutely.
When I post the interview, feel free to chime in. You're part of the group there now. Like I said, it's
so how do you chime in? What do you do?
Well, people will say, "Oh my God, I know Ken when I wish you guys had asked him this." well, you can just tell them the answer. You know what I mean?
How do I do that?
Well, you're part of our. Well, not now, but you're part of the Barstools and Bandtalk website, right? On the Facebook.
Okay.
page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I know. So there's comments at the bottom and stuff.
Yeah.
You mean like
Yep.
that?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
right.
Some hearts and things. Okay, I got you.
Exactly.
Listen,
You hit one heart, 3 or 4 hearts come up. I think that's great. I really
That's
meant
right.
it's been our pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, and have a good week. And oh, by the way, stay safe. Are you guys? Where are you? Anyway, are you in Dartmouth?
Yeah.
Dartmouth, yep.
Oh, well, that's where Pam is too. She's in Dartmouth.
Oh yeah.
She is
I
indeed.
went to her house.
About 5 minutes from my house.
Yep.
Okay, boys. Well, listen. Take care and have a good night. And
You too.
talk to
Peace
you.
up,
Thanks
bud.
a lot.
All right.
Really
Fun
Peace.
time, man.
See you, brother.
Appreciate it.
Bye. So you guys go. I guess you guys go. I don't know how to go.
Y'all be gone.